Have you ever watched a movie that you just knew from the second it started it was going to be perfect? Have you ever watched a movie that from the second it started you just knew it was going to blow your mind?
Like the first sound, the
first second,
image,
the first title.
the first anything.
The first any... The Shape of Water is that movie. So The Shape of Water is the latest film from legendary director Guillermo del Toro, who is known for the Hellboy films. He's known for the absolutely immaculate, perfect Pan's Labyrinth. He also recently did Crimson Peak. And this film stars Sally Hawkins, Richard Jenkins, who have got Michael Shannon, Octavia Spencer, Michael Stuhlbarg. Let's work with those for now. And basically the film is about Sally Hawkins' character is a mute woman who works as a cleaner in an design science facility, who basically that facility gets this new kind of asset, which is a sea creature that's a humanoid sea creature. This gets really weird, so I'm going to do my best to explain it. The story is about her forming a relationship with this sea creature and seeing what happens from there. Now obviously just hearing that synopsis, as kind of crazy as it sounds, that is a very Del Toro type thing, and it is where the magic of this film just gets unlocked, because this is a flat out masterpiece, and usually when you say masterpiece you only ever have one of those. Del Toro now has two with this and Pan's Labyrinth, because this is just beyond words exceptional.
Don't even know where to start. Like, I'm looking like everywhere and I'm just seeing everything right now, and it's perfect in every direction. I kid you not, the first frame of this film, it's like it's an underwater image. So you start underwater, you've got title cards coming up, but Alexander Desplat's score comes in and you just know that you are in
that instant
for just a sheer ride of pure perfection.
And it just cannot be understated. We have seen this film a couple of hours ago now at the time that we're reviewing this. First in the world to get to see it, and we have not been able to talk about anything since. We cannot think about anything, because what we have here is just an immaculate piece of cinema that goes in so many different directions, covers so much, and at the same time it is one of those movies that is just about cinema, about loving one another as people, and it just, in the process, it just does everything right. Like, I can't really... let's just try to break it down.
Let's start at the man in the middle, Mr. Del Toro, because, I mean, this guy is a god, and it shouldn't surprise anyone that this film exists, and it exists this damn good, because he did do Pan's Labyrinth.
Yes.
And that is a film, and after seeing him in the flesh at his press conference, which was just an amazing experience, because if you find the video online, watch it once you see this film, because hearing him speak is absolutely amazing. He expands the film for you without you even trying. Anyway,
we already knew it was great, but just hearing him talk about it was like, no, lock it in, this is the real deal.
And it's just like, this guy is a lover of film. I mean, after Pan's Labyrinth, he kind of exploded a bit, you know. He went on to be involved with the Hobbit films. He didn't end up directing them. Then he went to do Pacific Rim. Then he did Crimson Peak. And he's kind of been floating between things.
Just doing big genre pieces,
He's got so many projects lined up, but then he lands on this one, such an original piece. And it's like all the experience and everything he's done so far has accumulated. And, you know, his love of all different film genres has accumulated into this little Shape of Water.
This film essentially has like 4 different types of films in it. It's kind of got a science fiction, it's kind of got horror elements, it's got heist stuff in there, and it's definitely heavy on the romance in this film. Looking at this on the page would have just been a really incredible read, and the fact he's brought it to life like this, because he is in complete control of how he communicates it through audio and visual, is just stunning.
And he's the master of bringing fantasy and reality together, and I think the Cold War backdrop here just helps this film so much without even kind of realizing it, because it allows...
It's set in 1962, yeah.
Yeah, and it allows, you know, a presence for the film to be in, and like a reality for the characters to exist in as well, like contextually, that you can just click onto so quickly, and every single character here is so well rounded. Like, when you don't think you have enough information for a character, you sidetrack with them and you find out more about them.
There's that, and there's the context for that, and there's the context for that, and the fact that he's working on this canvas of it being in the 60s allows him to cover all these different kind of topics. He covers racial topics, he covers political tensions, all these things without them ever getting in your face. They're just there, and he's kind of having a modern kind of take on them through these 2 main kind of characters at the start, these central characters played by Sally Hawkins and Richard Jenkins, who are basically kind of opposites of each other that live in harmony together like that, which is kind of how he put it. We see through their perspective how this world around them, as people who are kind of the underdogs of the world, perceive all these people in power around them, and it makes for a really, really kind of just a gripping premise.
And the thing that brings us to performances, and performances here across the board are absolutely spectacular. I mean, they all have so much to work with because Del Toro's script is absolutely magnificent. But I mean, the performances are just so delicate, and in particular, Sally Hawkins is so goddamn tender. I think she's going to get a lot of awards attention come the season because, like, her performance here is just special. Like, it's very, very special. She's playing a character that's mute, so she has to have a lot of attention drawn to other details of her, you know, the way she's moving her eyes, the way she holds herself on screen, the way she interacts with others,
her
and just the way she's
so expressive,
and the way she's just kind of walking through different environments as well. And we're watching a character who doesn't speak fall in love, and the fact that we can see that through her eyes is just magnificent.
Richard Jenkins also does fantastic work here. His character is kind of this really nervy, unconfident type person who doesn't have a lot of self-belief, whereas Sally Hawkins' character just kind of, because she just kind of goes under the radar, she kind of does what she wants and she's just got a lot of love to share, whereas Richard Jenkins' character is a lot more kind of reserved. He plays kind of a father figure to her. He does some fantastic work with some really complex stuff in different scenes. I think if we jump into Michael Shannon, I think this is the best Michael Shannon performance I've seen. Here, he sets into this villain thing here and he just pulls it off the whole way through. Like, he's actually an astoundingly well done villain.
He just freaking nails it. And I mean, obviously we've also got Octavia Spencer and Michael Stuhlbarg, and they are both fantastic. Stuhlbarg is brilliant in everything he touches, no matter what, but here, once again, he's fantastic. And Octavia Spencer works with a character that has a lot of comedy, and she nails it. All of her timing is really, really good. And one thing I've got to say is, each single character that we've talked about there out of the 5, they all have their own little heartbreak, whether it be massive or whether it be small. And it's really interesting watching these characters have that heartbreak, because some of them happen early on, some of them happen later on in the piece. And this is something we don't get in films where we have 5 characters that are so well-rounded. Yeah, even the villain are so well-rounded and have their own little moment.
Because the world is constantly changing. I think it's a film that understands, especially looking at the Cold War era, it's a film where it understands that the world at the time was all over the joint and things were never completely working in one direction for too long at one time. It's again something Del Toro said in the conference as well, is I guess after Kennedy was assassinated, it kind of changed the entire idea of the world in America, and the film really focuses on that kind of romanticized time, but with stuff under the surface it just isn't quite working right, and that's a fantastic thing to go through. Obviously, it's a Del Toro film, so we need to talk about the visuals, and here we are looking at some of the best visuals of 2017, some of the most stunning visuals we have ever seen. He's working with a cinematographer who worked on Crimson Peak and John Wick 2, so obviously they're 2 films there that are just lavish once you pair with the production design, which is always great in a Del Toro film, and it is exemplary here, but the cinematography here is just all greens, yellows, golds, just lavish.
Absolutely stunning, and it's specific as well. Again, hearing him speak in the conference, like, he dedicated different colours to different characters, where we've got Sally Hawkins' character is all water-based colours,
so
and then we've got Richard Jenkins' character, and it's more sun-based, so we've got the golds and the browns and stuff as well. But and we know that, we know Del Toro is a master of colour, and once again here he just gets to play with so much, and it really pops on screen.
It really works your moods as well. Like, it's not just about looking good, he really understands what he's controlling with the visuals, how he's making you feel. You look at the transitions between scenes, it's kind of got like actual edits that signify a turning point in the film. You're like, that particular transition tells me what I need to know about this scene, about what's about to happen next, about what's happened before. It doesn't have the same kind of construction, whereas Pan's Labyrinth, obviously every single shot in that film slid or panned or wiped across like you were turning the pages of a storybook. It doesn't have that same kind of construction, but it definitely has the feeling of a director who had the opportunity to do anything he wanted, to tell the story any way he could, and he's found the most creative way to tell a story about just love and connection and make it flow.
It has a flow like water in a river, honestly. Like, the first half an hour of this film in particular is sheer cinematic perfection. The way the camera moves, it's constantly moving through scenes into one another, and then once we get later into the film, we get some absolutely magnificent transitions where we're going from like water droplets, and we're following water droplets, and then they're fading, expanding to someone walking, and then we have like some absolutely insane, surreal sort of sequence as well. I mean, like, he goes all out on this film, and somehow it just works.
There's just no creative stone that I felt is like unturned. Like, it really goes everywhere it can while all being completely cohesive. There's not a single thing that this film does which doesn't support its central ideas, which is such an impossibly rare thing. Even when you look down to the soundtrack flows and weaves like water through the actual film, and just everything comes together to create a whole, which is just stunning. And I feel like this is one of those films, once again, by Del Toro, that people will be able to deconstruct and talk about and discuss and debate for years, for as far as I can possibly see in the future, because it is just an absolute masterwork of just the grandest proportions. It is so stunning. It's so stunning. And we right now honestly sound like so kind of just blown away by this, but it really is. I think there's no way that I'll ever be able to talk about this film without getting so excited I can't communicate my ideas properly. It's just so rich.
Like, this film is so rich in colour, in acting, in cinema, and it's because we've got Del Toro and he's making films, and the fact that he's made another masterpiece is just mind-blowing. Like, we cannot wait for everyone to see this film because it deserves to be seen.
It is just bathed in a love for cinema, for the people that watch movies, for the people who want to go to the movies and think and feel. And for us, you cannot get any better than that. And I know this is currently going to be the 4th time we do this so far in this year for a 2017 release film, but...
And the way 2017 is going, I don't think it's going to be the last time either.
No, not at all, but for The Shape of Water, we are giving this film a 10. It is honestly just...
a big fat 10!
I am so stunned by the fact that not only this film exists, but it is as good as it is. Wow. So that was our review of The Shape of Water from the 2017 Venice Film Festival. We'd asked if you'd seen it yet, but you probably haven't,
but let us know your thoughts anyway in the comment section below.
And while you're down there, it's probably worth hitting our subscribe button to see more reviews from the festival from us, as well as other stuff.
And don't forget to check us out on Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat and Twitter while we're at the Venice Film Festival.